One unsung hero of women's history is Nanny Helen Burroughs. So she's reasonably well known to women's historians, to historians of the African American experience, but I think not as well known as she should be more broadly. She was the corresponding secretary, which sounds like it's not a big deal, but it was actually sort of an executive position. It was a big deal, of the Women's Auxiliary to the National Baptist Convention. The National Baptist Convention is the giant Black Baptist denomination in the United States that was founded in the very late 1800s and established in the early 1900s. And Burroughs was a very powerful woman within this organization. They had a whole separate women's department, the Women's Auxiliary, that she was one of the top leaders for. And as part of this, she founded a school for particularly Southern Black women, but also Black women from abroad. A lot of students from Africa came and went back home and would actually be Christian workers there, sometimes preachers. And she was very, very into education, but she was also into building bridges with Southern white women during Jim Crow, during the era of segregation. So she worked a lot with Southern Baptist white women, convincing them to cooperate for the education of Black women who needed to be able to use their gifts and be trained to use their gifts as well as the white women were. And so a lot of the leaders of the Southern Baptist Women's Organization, the Women's Missionaries Union, the WMU, which many people still know of today, cooperated with her, and she sort of persuaded them to take a more expansive view of race relations that really pushed back against segregation.
So while I think there are so many women that deserve to be better known in history, my current obsession is Mary Ritter Beard. Right. So she is an American woman and she is a suffragist, right? She's involved in the suffrage movement, getting women the right to vote in both the British context and the American context. But she's also one of the first women historians, right? So she actually champions, right, studying women in history. And one of her greatest interventions is to say, women are a force in history. They're not just victims, right? They don't just have leadership or situations thrust upon them, but they actually make a difference in history and how it turns out and shapes up and changes over time, right? And I think that she deserves to be more well known, not just within women's history circles, but also for her leadership, her vision, and her activism.